She showed up to dinner wearing red lipstick, too bold, too provocative, like it was a weapon. Until that night, she'd never worn anything brighter than beige. Around the table, relatives, porcelain plates, strained smiles, and a silence thick with tension. He didn't realize he'd already lost. She had orchestrated everything perfectly, from the napkins to her lines. One statement, and the marriage shattered like a wine glass under a hammer. I want freedom, not divorce. Freedom. The room fell into stunned silence. Someone dropped a fork, someone else clapped, and he just froze. That was the beginning of his descent into hell. Accusations, blackmail, lies, attempts to drain him dry, disease, a fake pregnancy, counterfeit love, and then revenge, cold, ruthless, without a trace of mercy. He was the one who built, and now he would be the one to tear it all down, stone by stone, illusion by illusion, until nothing remained, not her lies, not her mother, not their shared past. Only he was left, and his truth. Hello, my friend. I'm so glad you stopped by my channel. If it's your first time here, don't forget to subscribe and like this video, as every like truly inspires me. Please tell me which city and country you watch this video from. Now, let's get started. The first thing that struck me was her lipstick, bold crimson, gleaming under the chandelier's glow. Amelia had never been the type to wear loud colors, not until lately, when she began curating her image with unmistakable intention. We were marking our 10th anniversary, gathered in the formal dining room of my parents' house, surrounded by a sea of familiar faces. Her mother was practically fused to her side, sitting stiffly, scanning the room like a hawk ready to pounce at the first misstep I made. My mom busied herself with the roast, while the rest of the guests exchanged small talk that barely concealed the strain simmering beneath. The air practically crackled with unease. "Don't mess with the napkins," Amelia snapped, realigning them with surgical precision. "Just trying to make it nice," I said, forcing a grin. "It is nice, Amelia," I added gently, not wanting to spark a fight before the meal even began. She sighed dramatically, rolling her eyes in a way that screamed I was hopelessly out of touch with the disaster she believed this night to be. She'd pitched the dinner. At least, that's what she allowed me to think. "We should go all out, invite everyone," she'd said, exchanging a cryptic glance with her mother I hadn't been able to decipher at the time. The two of them had an understanding I was clearly left out of, and while I had a sense something was off, I couldn't have imagined the depth of what was coming. Lana, her mother, swirled her wine like she'd already won a bet. "Sometimes, Amelia," she announced with gusto, "you've got to stir the pot to keep a marriage interesting." "Don't let him box you in," she added, tossing me a loaded look. I stiffened. It was her go-to line, her favorite storyline. I was the villain holding her daughter back. "Amelia's always had the freedom to do what she wants," I replied with a brittle laugh. "She still does." Amelia's sister Maya chimed in with a grin that reminded me of a cat toying with its prey. "So that why there's still only one kid? She's too independent, or are you too busy?" A cheap blow. We had one child, our daughter Luna, and the subject of more children was fragile territory. I clenched my jaw and glanced at my dad, who kept his eyes fixed on his plate, pretending he hadn't heard a thing. He'd never liked confrontation, and usually let Lana's comments slide without a word. The evening dragged on, awkward and tense. Cutlery clinked. Forced laughter punctuated the silence, but the discomfort hovered like a cloud. Then, just as dessert hit the table, Amelia and Lana exchanged a glance I could only describe as loaded. Amelia stood, glass in hand, the faintest smile playing on her vivid red lips. "I have an announcement," she said, her eyes briefly locking onto mine. "And I hope I'll have your support." My mother froze, her knife halfway through a slice of cake. "What kind of announcement, dear?" she asked cautiously. Amelia lifted her chin, a steady confidence pouring off her. "I've come to understand something important. For years, I've felt stifled, invisible. She gestured vaguely in my direction. Ryan doesn't fulfill me, emotionally or otherwise. My jaw tensed, but I kept still. She had a flair for drama, but this was theatrical even by her standards. Dropping this bomb during a celebratory dinner felt like a slap. The room went still. Lana looked like someone had handed her a trophy. Amelia squared her stance. I want to open our marriage. I want the freedom to see other people. I'm not asking for a divorce, just room to breathe. She paused, letting her words hang in the air like the echo of an explosion. After everything I've endured, I deserve that much. My mother looked stunned. My father choked on his wine. Lana reached out, resting a hand on Amelia's arm with smug approval. That's the kind of courage we love to see. Don't let him steal your light. My face felt like it was on fire. You're serious? I whispered, doing my best to keep my voice level. This is how you celebrate our anniversary? By airing this out in front of everyone? She met my stare without blinking. I waited, Ryan. I dropped hints. I gave you time. But you never heard me. At least now, you have no choice but to listen. Lana clucked her tongue. Told you he never really listens to you. At last, my mother found her voice. Amelia, sweetie, an open marriage? That's a personal matter? Is this really how you want to bring it up? Amelia shot her a look as cold as steel. No more secrets. If I stay quiet, nobody sees who Ryan really is. He's all about his career, his status, his bank account, never about me. Rage simmered in my chest, my hands twitching under the table. And your answer is sleeping with other men? I asked, barely above a growl. Lana waved her hand dismissively. Spare us the act, Ryan. You drove her here. My father cleared his throat, gentle but firm. This isn't the right moment for this discussion. But Amelia wasn't backing down. I'm tired of playing by outdated rules, she declared. I want a life that's mine. If that's a problem, Ryan, maybe it's time for you to walk away. I clenched my fists, knuckles pale. Maybe that's exactly what I'll do. Maya watched the chaos unfold with slow, savoring sips of her wine, clearly enjoying the wreckage. Well, dinner took a sharp nosedive into chaos. My mother shot me a panicked glance, silently urging me to stay calm, but I was well past the point of composure. Amelia had chosen this exact moment, right in front of everyone, to unveil her brilliant revelation about wanting to sleep with other people. That was the blunt, brutal thought pounding through my head, and apparently, I was supposed to take it in stride. So this is your big act? I said, standing up so fast the chair screeched across the floor. You wanted drama, Amelia? Congrats. You've got yourself a show. She calmly took a sip from her glass, her face unreadable. Let's not act like you're the victim here, Ryan. You checked out of this marriage years ago. Lana piped up, her tone laced with disdain. He's always been self-absorbed. She turned to Amelia with a supportive nod. Do what you need to do. You've got my blessing. That was it for me. I looked around, my parents stunned into silence, Amelia looking far too pleased with herself, and Lana radiating smug satisfaction, and I lost whatever restraint I had left. Fantastic. You all enjoy this new era of transparency. I'm done. I spun around and left the room, blocking out my mother's shocked gasp and the hush that fell over the table. The keys jingled in my pocket as I stormed out, slid into my car, and drove off into the night. Fury surged through me, pulsing with a deep, sickening sense of betrayal. She'd turned what was supposed to be a celebration, our anniversary, into a public humiliation. Her version of honesty was parading this idea like some enlightened invitation for me to sit back and watch while she explored other men. Not a chance. I didn't go back home that night. Instead, I crashed in my car in a random parking lot, my head a storm of rage and disbelief. By sunrise, my decision was crystal clear. I was done. If she wanted freedom, she could have it. but without me. I rang Miles, my lawyer and longtime friend. "I'm filing," I told him, voice hoarse from a sleepless night. "She humiliated me in front of my whole family. She wants an open marriage. I'm not signing up for that." Miles let out a low whistle. "That's rough, man. Let's get started." "Sure you don't want to at least talk it through?" he asked after a moment. "Talk?" I nearly scoffed. "She staged a public ambush. If she thinks she can do better, she's welcome to try." We dove into the logistics, the house, the accounts, and of course, our daughter Luna. She was 19, away at college, living on campus. Her reaction haunted the back of my mind, but I shelved it. One thing at a time. Meanwhile, Amelia started bombarding me with texts, a non-stop barrage of arrogance and blame. "You ran like a coward. Classic Ryan. If you ever truly loved me, you'd accept this part of me." Then came the threats. "Don't even think about filing. You'll regret it." I let my phone die and left it that way. Her vague threats didn't worry me. Aside from Lana's gossiping, I doubted she had much influence. 3 days later, I swung by the house to pick up a few essentials. She was waiting, of course, and naturally, Lana was there too, arms folded like she was guarding a throne. "Look who's come crawling back," Lana sneered. Amelia leaned casually against the wall, clicking her nails on the molding. "You done throwing your little tantrum?" My voice dropped to ice. "No tantrum, just done, with you. Divorce papers are coming." Amelia rolled her eyes. "Seriously? Over one request for freedom? Grow up, Ryan." Lana snorted. "He's always been repressed. Don't worry, sweetie, we'll handle this." I straightened. "No, you won't. I'm out. And if either of you tries to meddle, I'll handle it in court." Amelia crossed her arms, defiant. "You think that scares me? The house is half mine. We both paid for it." I didn't dignify it with a reply. I headed upstairs, threw what I needed into a suitcase, and left. Lana shouted after me. "You never gave her what she needed. This is your fault." I didn't look back. The following weeks were a nightmare, an endless cycle of legal paperwork, ignored phone calls, and smoldering resentment. Amelia wasted no time flaunting her new chapter all over social media, clinging to men who looked like bar regulars. Lana strutted through the neighborhood, loudly bragging that her daughter was finally free of that controlling husband. My parents were devastated. My father tried to be my anchor. "Keep your dignity," he urged. "Don't lower yourself to their level." I wanted to listen. I really did. But inside, the anger never stopped burning. Amelia had taken something sacred, our marriage, and turned it into a public joke. I wasn't perfect. I worked long hours. I missed moments I shouldn't have. I could have been better. But none of that excused what she did, blindsiding me, framing her desire for other men as some grand act of truth. It wasn't noble. It was betrayal. Then Luna called. Her voice was uncertain. "Dad, Mom says you're leaving her because she wanted to open your minds. She's acting like you're the unreasonable one." I let out a breath and rubbed my temples, struggling to find the right words. "Luna, your mother blindsided me, right there in front of everyone. She just blurted out that she wanted an open marriage. I want nothing to do with that kind of arrangement." My voice still shook as I replayed the moment in my head. Luna let out a slow breath. "That's really bizarre. She's never even hinted at anything like that to me." "Are you really saying I should just forgive her?" My voice sharpened like a blade. "Forgive her?" I snapped. "For humiliating me like that in public? For deciding she wants to sleep around and expecting me to smile and nod?" She hesitated. "I'm not taking sides, Dad. I just want you to stay calm. Grandma Lana's already making things worse." I clenched my jaw. Lana had always had a way of turning tension into poison. "Stay out of this, Luna. Focus on your studies. This is between your mother and me." She didn't speak for a few seconds, then said quietly, "Okay, Dad. Just don't do anything you can't take back." We ended the call. I buried myself in work, hoping the routine would drown out the turmoil. Days turned to nights, and the divorce process crawled forward. Page by page, signature by signature, I moved closer to cutting the cord on Amelia's distorted vision of marriage. The real shift came during a meeting with my lawyer. She asked whether I'd ever suspected Amelia of cheating before she brought up the open marriage. I told her I had no hard proof, but I'd felt something was off for a long time. Amelia had been too eager to reimagine our relationship, too sudden about it all. But we lived in a no-fault divorce state. Her betrayal wasn't a legal weapon, not unless I decided to play dirty. And I wasn't above that. I'd built what I had from the ground up, and I planned to keep it. Then I uncovered something that lit a fire in my chest. Amelia and Lana were weaving a story, claiming I'd walked out, that I'd been cold, controlling, and had stifled Amelia's identity. Amelia told anyone who'd listen that her open marriage request had come from feeling unloved and trapped. Some neighbors believed her. Others weren't so easily convinced. My parents were furious. One night, I stopped by their house, and there she was, Amelia, waiting by the driveway, eyes burning with fury. She marched up and slammed a folder of documents against my chest. "Sign the settlement," she demanded. I scanned the papers. She wanted half the house, a chunk of my savings, and monthly payments. "You've lost your mind," I said. "The mortgage isn't even paid off. And those savings? I earned almost every cent." She tossed her hair and sneered, "You trapped me in a dead marriage. I need a fresh start. Mom says I deserve compensation for the time I wasted." I laughed, cold and hollow. "So you want to sleep with whoever you want, and I get to bankroll it?" Just then, Lana stepped out of a nearby car. "Sign, or we drag you through court," she said coldly. "You neglected her. She gave everything and got nothing." The anger burned beneath my skin. I kept my voice low. "You two are delusional." Amelia curled her lip. "Always had to be in control, didn't you? Time to pay for it." I shoved the papers back into her arms. "We'll settle this in court." She yanked them back, eyes narrowed. "Don't say I didn't give you a chance. You're the one making this ugly." My heart thundered as I stepped inside. My mother gently touched my arm. "Stay steady," she whispered. "She wants a reaction." I nodded, jaw tight. I'm not letting them destroy everything I worked for. When the court date came, Amelia strolled in wearing a fitted black dress, Lana glued to her side like a shadow. My lawyer and I took our seats, watching as Amelia launched into her performance. She spoke of emotional neglect, of feeling invisible and desperate. Said the open marriage idea was her last-ditch plea to feel alive again. Lana backed her up, painting me as a tyrant, rigid and unloving. I clenched my teeth, but stayed quiet. My attorney handled it with icy precision. She reminded the court that Amelia had ambushed me in front of witnesses, a strange move for someone supposedly afraid and repressed. The verdict was fair enough, considering. The house would be sold, and we'd split the profit. I'd pay a modest amount of spousal support for a set period, just enough to get Amelia on her feet. It was more than she deserved, but at least she didn't get half of everything. As we left the courtroom, Lana shot daggers at me with her eyes. Amelia didn't even glance in my direction. It should have ended there. Our ties legally severed. I was free. Months passed. I moved into a small townhouse barely furnished. My days were simple. Work, hit the gym, sleep. Dating wasn't on my radar. Luna visited now and then, careful never to bring up her mother. I could see the conflict in her, torn between loyalty and disappointment. I didn't press her. Then, out of nowhere, my phone rang. The number was unfamiliar. I answered and heard Amelia's voice, shaking, frantic. "Ryan, I need help. I need money." I froze. "You can't be serious," I said. Her tone hardened instantly, steel under the panic. "This isn't a joke. I need help. It's a medical issue. A sexually transmitted disease. Her voice cracked, trembling with emotion. Just, please, hear me out. I'm short on cash, she continued. My insurance only covers part of the cost, and Mom can't pitch in right now. A bitter chuckle escaped me. So you're calling because your reckless choices led to an STD, and you think I'll fund your recovery? Her tone stiffened. Don't do that. You know how expensive treatment can be. I messed up, okay? I should have been smarter. My stomach turned. You sleep around, catch something disgusting, and now expect me to foot the bill? No way. Her voice rose, sharp with desperation. You owe me. Owe you? I gripped the phone tighter. You mean after years of shutting me out, pushing me away? We're divorced, Amelia. That's what you wanted, remember? She let out a shaky breath. Fine. Watch me suffer then. I shouldn't have expected anything from someone so cold. I thought there was still a shred of decency in you. Decency? I scoffed. You mean like the time you dropped the open marriage bomb on me in front of our friends at our anniversary dinner? That kind of decency? Silence. Then the line went dead. She'd hung up. I stood frozen, heart pounding like a drumbeat in my ears. The audacity. Did she think I'd forgotten everything she'd put me through? That I'd come running to save her now, after she dismantled our life together piece by piece? Not a chance. Or so I thought. The next day, she showed up at my place, uninvited. Her face was pale, eyes sunken, hair a tangled mess. Behind her loomed Lana, arms crossed tight, eyes burning with hostility. Amelia pounded on the door. Ryan, open the damn door! I cracked it just enough to see them. What now? She tried to force her way in. We need to talk. I held my ground. If this is about your STD, I already gave you my answer. Lana's voice lashed out. You vile bastard. She's sick and you're turning your back. What kind of person does that? I clenched my jaw. I'm not handing over money because she can't deal with the fallout of her own mistakes. Amelia's eyes glistened, though I doubted the sincerity. Just let me inside, she whispered. Please. I'm not leaving otherwise. Tired of the scene, I pulled the door open and stepped aside. You've got 5 minutes, then you're gone. She stepped in hesitantly, scanning the bare apartment. Lana followed, her nose scrunching in distaste. This is where you're living? She sneered. Pathetic. I ignored her. Say what you came to say. Amelia lowered her gaze. The tests confirmed it. It's an STD. My insurance only goes so far. The rest, I can't afford it. My mom's barely scraping by. Lana snapped. He has money. He should be helping. He's not innocent in all this. I stared at them both, disbelief simmering. You're seriously expecting me to pay for this disaster? Amelia's cheeks flushed red. I wouldn't be asking if it wasn't urgent. Urgent? I said flatly. Like that time you dragged me through the mud in front of everyone we know? Was that urgent too? Her voice trembled. I know I messed up. But this is my health. You can't just ignore that. Lana jabbed her finger at me. If you'd been the man you were supposed to be, maybe she wouldn't have gone looking elsewhere. I laughed, sharp and humorless. Tell yourself whatever you need to sleep at night. Now get the hell out. Amelia's tears vanished, her voice turning cold. So that's it? Nothing? Not even $1? Not a cent. She stared me down. You'll regret this. I really won't. I opened the door wide. They stormed out. Amelia looked back one last time, eyes pleading, full of desperation. But I didn't flinch. She wanted out. She got what she wanted. The next morning, my phone buzzed. It was Luna. Expecting a normal check-in, I answered casually, but her voice was strained, serious. Dad, you need to help Mom. I rubbed my temples. Let me guess. She told you about the STD? Luna sighed. Yeah, but it's more than that. It's worse. Worse? I asked. What could be worse? She thinks she might be pregnant. The word hit like a punch to the chest. Pregnant. Yes, Luna whispered. She's serious. Luna was the first to break the silence. She says the baby might be yours. I couldn't help it. I let out a dry, bitter laugh. Mine? Are you serious? No chance. Her voice grew sharp. She's convinced something happened between you two during the separation. I didn't let her finish. Nothing happened, I snapped. And even if it had, I told her, I had a vasectomy years ago. That baby isn't mine. There was a beat of silence before Luna's voice dropped into something almost disbelieving. Wait, what? I shrugged instinctively, forgetting we weren't face to face. It's something I did long ago, way before things spiraled. Amelia never knew. Things between us were already unraveling by then. I never talked about it, but after Luna was born, I went through with the procedure. If Amelia's pregnant, it sure as hell isn't mine. Luna inhaled sharply. You're completely sure? Without a doubt, I told her, firm. I've got the paperwork, the clinic records, everything. This isn't something that just reverses itself. If she's pretending otherwise, she's either lying to herself or lying to you. Luna's voice trembled slightly. Then Dad, she's not okay. She keeps saying you owe her. She's fixated on it being your responsibility. A flicker of anger sparked in my chest. She can say whatever she wants. I know what's real. Luna murmured something under her breath I couldn't catch. Then, so, you're not going to help? I exhaled, long and weary. Help her? Luna, she wrecked me. She wanted an open marriage, dragged me through a mess of legal threats, and now she's throwing around a fake paternity claim? She's even blaming me for some STD she got from someone else? I shook my head. That's not on me. I love you, but I'm not letting her manipulate me again. Her voice was thin now. I'm not trying to manipulate you, I don't want Mom to fall any further. I closed my eyes. That's her path to walk, not mine. I'm done. She needs to deal with the consequences of her choices. There was a pause, then a small, broken sound. You two used to be so close. Now it's like you're strangers. A dull ache stirred inside me. People change, Luna. I'm sorry, but I'm not picking up the pieces anymore. Silence hung between us, then a quiet, resigned breath. Okay, I understand. Just, if things get really bad, please don't slam the door completely. I didn't respond. A moment later, she said goodbye, and the call ended. The frustration came rushing back. Amelia was pregnant, demanding my return, insisting I pay for treatment, clean up her mess, like I was the one who owed her something. After everything she'd done, tough luck. That night, she showed up. No dramatics, no fanfare. Just her, standing alone in the cold at the foot of my porch steps. Her voice was quiet. Can we talk? I nearly shut the door in her face, but something, curiosity maybe, kept me there. What is it now? Another guilt trip? Her eyes darted to the side. I'm pregnant. I raised an eyebrow. Yeah, I heard. She drew in a breath. It's yours. I gave her a slow, icy smile. Good luck proving that. Her expression wavered. Ryan, we were still together a few times before the separation. You must remember. It could have happened then. I've done the math. I cut her off, voice like a blade. I had a vasectomy after Luna. Whatever you're saying, it isn't true. She blinked, thrown. Then her face hardened. What? No, you never told me that. How could you keep something like that from me? I shrugged. What was the point? We were falling apart already. If you'd gotten pregnant then, fine. But now? No chance. Her lips trembled. You're lying. Show me proof. My tone turned cold. I don't owe you anything. You need to leave. Tears welled in her eyes. I'm scared, Ryan. I'm pregnant. I have an STD. I can't afford treatment. My mom's no help. And now you're telling me it's not yours? Do you even understand what this means for me? I crossed my arms. It means someone else is responsible. It means you made this mess. It's not mine to clean up. She broke down then, crying hard. You left me. I made mistakes, but you were always so distant, always working, always somewhere else. If you just loved me better, maybe none of this would have happened. A flicker of guilt stirred. Maybe I had drifted. Maybe I hadn't been present enough. But that didn't excuse her choices. You humiliated me in front of our friends on our anniversary. You were the one who asked for an open marriage. Don't turn this around, Amelia. You made that choice. She looked at me through the tears, but I had already turned away. Tears had carved narrow paths down her cheeks, her sobs quiet but raw. There was no mistaking it. She understood that I was leaving her all over again. You're ice, she murmured. I gestured toward the sidewalk. Go on. I'm not your savior. Why don't you try tracking down the real father? I said flatly. Maybe he'll cover your hospital bills. She didn't respond, just slowly shook her head, the fabric of her blouse absorbing each silent tear. I hate you, Ryan, she said. Yeah, I muttered, fingers wrapped around the doorknob. Then leave already. At last, she turned away, her shoulders shaking as she rushed down the path. I closed the door behind her and locked it, a heavy tension settling in my chest. A part of me felt grim satisfaction watching her come undone. Another part just felt sick. There had been something real between us once. Now she was desperate, and I had become the villain in her story. Maybe that's how it was always meant to go. A few days later, I bumped into Lana at the supermarket. She caught me off guard in the cereal aisle, her words sharp but hushed. You cold-hearted bastard, she hissed. Amelia's carrying your child, and you're just turning your back. She's sick, she's broke, and you're doing nothing. I kept my eyes on the shelf, grabbing a box of cereal, aware of the curious glances around us. She's not having my kid, Lana. Maybe ask your perfect daughter how many guys she's been with recently. Her finger jabbed my chest with fury. Don't play dumb. She told me everything. Said you two slept together one last time before you walked out. That baby is yours. You're just dodging reality. I could feel my anger start to simmer. I had a vasectomy. Maybe she forgot to mention that part. Unless science has changed, that kid's not mine. She blinked, clearly shaken. Wait, you're serious? I gave a lazy shrug. Believe whatever suits you. She stammered. It's still your fault. If you had been a halfway decent man, she wouldn't have had to lean on anyone else. You're going to pay for her care, if not out of kindness, then from guilt. A bitter laugh escaped me. Take a number, Lana. I'm not paying a damn thing. Her expression said she was close to slapping me, but I turned and walked off, heart thudding hard. I was done being made the villain. Then Luna called. My daughter's voice came through the line, tight and uncertain. Dad, Grandma says you're refusing to help Mom. She says the baby is yours. She's lying, right? You told me you had a vasectomy. I don't know what's real anymore. I sighed. I did. She's lying, Luna. Don't get caught in their mess, okay? You've got your own life to live. She went quiet, but I could tell she was fighting tears. I hate all of this. Everything's falling apart. Mom cries all the time. Grandma's furious. And you've shut everyone out. I feel like I'm drowning in the middle of it. My voice softened. I get it, honey. I'm sorry. But your mom made her choices. I can't fix what she destroyed. This isn't my mess to clean up. If she's sick and pregnant, that's on her. Luna's voice wavered. But she's still my mom. I can't just stand by and do nothing. A sharp ache throbbed behind my eyes. I know, I do. But I can't go back into that chaos. I'm not responsible for the baby or for her. She sniffled. Okay, I love you, Dad. Love you too, Luna. After we hung up, I sat in the quiet, guilt gnawing at the edges of my thoughts. But I kept coming back to the same truth. Amelia had burned every bridge. Her mother had enabled her, and now, They were facing the fallout. A few days later, Amelia sent a text that hit harder than I expected. "I'm sick. The baby won't make it if I don't get better care. Please, Ryan, don't let this happen." I read her words over and over, something twisting in my chest. Even if the child wasn't mine, an innocent life could be at risk because she couldn't afford treatment. Was I okay living with that? Every instinct in me resisted the idea of a child paying the price for Amelia's actions. But it didn't change the facts. It wasn't my baby. I owed her nothing. I typed out a response, cold and final. "Not my child. Not my problem." Her reply came fast, seething with venom. "You're vile. You'll burn for this." I shut off my phone. I refused to be pulled back into her spiral. Then, one bitter evening after work, I got home and found her huddled on my porch, shivering from the cold. Her skin was ghost pale, her body trembling. She looked spent, utterly empty. My first instinct was to walk past her, but something stopped me. "Amelia?" I asked, stepping closer. "Why are you here?" She looked up slowly, her lips dry and cracked. "There's no one left. Mom's out of town for some family thing. I'm alone. I'm broke. And I think I have a fever." In less than 2 days, I had another critical meeting, and not even enough cash to afford a roof over my head tonight. My jaw clenched. "So your grand solution was camping on my doorstep?" I asked. She gave a slight shrug, her eyes dull and empty. There wasn't anywhere else to go. Whoever fathered the baby had vanished weeks ago. A flicker of pity rose up, but I forced it back down. "What about friends? Guys you used to charm?" She let out a dry, rasping laugh. "They vanished the second I stopped being fun and started needing something real." I leaned back, staring at the pale moon. The man I used to be, the one who would have handed her a blanket and maybe let her in, was gone. She had painted me as the villain, torched everything between us, and now expected me to put the pieces back together. "You can't stay here," I said, my voice even and hard. Her eyes went wide with fear. "You're really going to leave me out here? Ryan, I'm pregnant. I'm not okay." For a moment I faltered. Then the memories came rushing back, her mocking words, how she told my family I bored her, flaunting her attraction to other men, demanding money like it was her right. "Yes," I said, cold as ice. "Get up." She trembled, barely able to keep herself upright. "I can't even stand," she whispered. I pulled out my phone. "I'll call you a cab." She winced. "I don't have the money for that." "Not my concern," I replied. "If you won't go, I'll involve the police." She stared at me, wounded and furious. "You're a monster. I hope you rot." Without responding, I turned and stepped inside. "Take care," I said over my shoulder. Her scream split the silence, but eventually I saw her hobble down the sidewalk, swallowed by the darkness. I shut the door behind me, my heartbeat thudding in my chest. Guilt and relief collided inside me. I had turned my back on a sick, pregnant woman I once swore I'd love forever. But she had torn that love apart, chased other men, begged for an open relationship, and now came crawling back, shattered and broke. My empathy had its limits. 2 weeks later, the final hit came. A letter arrived. Legal paperwork. Amelia wanted a paternity test. She was claiming the baby might be mine and demanding support. My lawyer chuckled as I handed over my vasectomy records. "She's desperate," he said. "We just need to show the judge your documentation." And we did. Still, we took the test. For the court's sake. The DNA was no match. My medical records were solid. Amelia's accusations collapsed like a house of cards. The judge scolded her for wasting the court's time. She stood frozen as the results were announced, her complexion drained of color. Behind her, Lana glared at me like she wanted to kill me. Outside the courthouse, Amelia stopped me, her cheeks streaked with tears, voice trembling with rage. "You only wanted to see me suffer. Well, Congratulations. I gave a small shrug. No one forced you into this. Lana spat near my feet. You'll never know peace. You ruined her. I didn't blink. She ruined us. Don't pin her wreckage on me. Amelia staggered back, holding her stomach like it hurt to breathe. I can't believe this. I loved you once. I loved you too, I replied, shaking my head slowly. Until the day you said you wanted other men. Tears filled her eyes. You never asked why. You never tried to understand. I did care, I said tightly, but I'm done now. Move on. She opened her mouth as if to respond, but no words came out. The tears spilled freely. A sob tore from her, and Lana caught her before she collapsed. She shot me one last hateful look. I turned away, my steps slow but somehow lighter. It was over. Truly over. No more illusions, no more maybes. If that made me the villain, I could live with that. She had a baby on the way, no father in sight, no money, and a diagnosis to face alone. And for the first time in years, I felt like I wasn't drowning in her chaos. That evening, my daughter called. Her voice was gentle, unsteady. Dad, I heard about the test. Mom's losing it. Grandma's furious. Are you okay? I took a long breath. I'm all right, Luna. It's done. I'm not the father. Nothing else to say. She hesitated. Yeah, I guess not. I tried to soften the blow. I'm sorry you had to be part of this. I know you care about her. She sniffled. I do. But I can't defend what she did. She lied. She tried to turn me against you. I'm angry at her, Dad. I closed my eyes. You don't need to pick sides. She's still your mother. Luna let out a shaky sigh. I know, but I can't stand by her choices. She's lost everything. I feared she'd end up alone when all was said and done. There was nothing comforting I could offer her. Whatever was coming, she'd have to carry it herself. Maybe there was some lesson buried in it all, something she could grow from. Luna gave a quiet goodbye, and just like that, it was over. Weeks slipped by before mutual friends passed along the news. Amelia had left the city, likely hoping to distance herself from the mess she left behind. She gave birth far from here, in a hospital no one could name. The baby pulled through, although there were murmurs that her STD had made things more complicated. She never revealed who the father was. Not long after, Lana disappeared too. She must have followed Amelia. I never laid eyes on either of them again, nor did I try. Every now and then, our daughter would mention her mother, but only in passing, never lingering too long. I suspected Lana was still stoking the fire, casting me as the heartless one. Amelia likely held fast to her version of events, the story where I abandoned her when she needed saving. I had made peace with playing the villain in their eyes. That was the final truth I had to accept. She tried to tie me to a child that wasn't mine, demanded money over an STD, and expected me to swoop in like some hero after she had shattered whatever was left of my pride. But life isn't a poorly written drama where the disgraced man returns, arms wide open. She came to understand that too late. One evening, as I stood on the porch beneath a sky awash in orange, I felt a grim sort of closure settle over me. I had learned through pain how love can rot into resentment, and how trust, once broken, may never be rebuilt. Amelia played her part to perfection. Lana only fueled her fantasies, and I ended up cast as the bitter man who refused to pick up the pieces when their fantasy collapsed. Maybe some thought I was heartless. Maybe others figured I simply gave her what she earned. Either way, their opinions meant little to me. What truly mattered was that I had finally broken free from her chaos. She wanted out, insisted on an open relationship. In the end, she got exactly that: a disease, a fatherless child, and an empty bank account. I stepped back into my small, quiet home, turned the deadbolt, and felt something I hadn't in a long time: peace. My life was simple again. Sometimes lonely, sure, but honest. I'd rather face loneliness than stay chained to a lie pretending to be love. If that meant being the villain in her story, so be it. I knew what really happened. I had once loved her, deeply, but she made her choice, and now she would have to live with it. And if, someday, she dared to show up again, asking for money, or pretending we still had something left, I'd respond exactly as I had before, with a cold laugh, a closed door, and no hesitation. I had made my choice too, and there was no going back. This story has come to an end. What's your opinion? Share it in the comments, my friend. And if you liked this story, check out other exciting videos on my channel. I'll say goodbye until the next video. See you.